Hey guys, Moon here, and I can bet a lot of you are seriously getting tired of the tier lists, but honestly, I could keep going with all these. This one isn't terribly difficult. It's a Pokemon types tier list. But I'm not basing this on their actual battle prowess, their strengths and weaknesses, like a Poketuber would, or someone who just knows a lot more about competitive battle than me, because I'm not competitive. I'm a casual player. I'm basing this on how much I like the types and how attached I feel to them. So let's just get started. First up, the first type is a bug. Bug, to me, is a D tier. It's not good. Yes, I know, I just said I'm not basing this on how good they are in battle, but just saying bug-type Pokemon are not good in battle. There are a few bug types that could be viable in battle, but overall, bug is super weak. Flying, fire, rock, and ice types can easily handle a bug type. They don't have good stats typically. Their movesets aren't the best really at all. Besides, I just don't like bugs much at all. So, yeah, I don't like the bug type much at all. Moving along to dark. Dark is one of my favorite types. Not many guys think dark type Pokemon look cool and are very unique. I have a dark type on my main team, and an honorary 7th member as well who's a dark type. Well, they're the same Pokemon, but also different. An Umbreon and a shiny Umbreon. I've grown really attached to not only them, but the dark type in general. Does it have its weaknesses? Yes. It's one of the only types that bug type is actually good against. But it's also pretty good being able to beat psychic types, ghost, and just typically does pretty well. Not all dark types are very good, but there are those who are so amazing. And as I am a bit biased, I love Umbreon, and I love the dark type in general. That's why I have it all the way up in S tier, because it's great, and yes, it has great weaknesses, but, well, fairy types can easily be beaten by poison and steel, and typically a dark type, well, not all dark types, but there are dark types that know poison or steel type moves, so, yeah. And yes, it's weak to fighting, but fighting has a fair bit of weaknesses. And bug is just terrible, as I said. Moving on. Dragon. Oh, dragon. Yes, me, I'd say dragon is a solid B tier. It's really not my favorite type. It used to be one of the strongest types. And it was only weak to dragon, itself, and ice, aka the cold weather. But now that fairy type has been added, it has been nerfed. Plus, overall, I think dragon types get a little bit too much attention. Yes, a lot of them are very great and very cool, but most of the pseudo legendaries are dragon types. And dragon types are usually made very powerful, even if they aren't pseudo legends. So it's like Game Freak could back off on the dragon type a little bit, give some of the other types a little more affection, Moving along to electric. Electric, to me, is a pretty solid type. It's only weak to ground, which is pretty good. But though it can easily stifle water and flying types, it isn't usually the best in every situation, since there are now water types that are part ground, and flying types can use other moves to avoid electricity. Plus, some of the best electric types are a little frail. There are very bulky electric types out there, I'm sure, but no, it is a pretty good type. Personally, it's not my favorite, but I am bumping it up a little bit, simply because I have a Raichu on my main team. She helped me with beating the champion, and I'm just really attached to her. So, that's the only reason I'm bumping electric is a little higher than I normally would. Moving along. Fairy. Fairy types are some of the best in the game, and some of my favorites. Well, not always, but having a Sylveon on my main team, he has helped me through a lot. He easily managed to beat any dark types, any dragon types in the way, and I'm just overall attached to him. Plus, though there are a lot of cutesy pink fairy type Pokemon out there, not all fairy types are like that. And generally, their fairy type is an extremely good typing. It's only weak to poison and steel. And it can. It's the reason why the dragon type was nerfed. Well, it is the dragon type's nerf. Overall, it's just the type I like. Moving on. Fighting. Fighting, to me, isn't one of the best types. Flying types, psychic types, and I'm sure something else I'm forgetting, can manage to deal with fighting types. Plus, there are types that can't damage. Again, flying, psychic. And it can't really do a lot to fairy, and I'm sure something else I'm forgetting. And overall, I'm just not attached to the fighting type. If it was really generic and boring and bland, I mean, all these Pokemon fight. It's something all Pokemon and their trainers do. But the fighting type as a whole, it's just very generic and bland to me. If you like it, that's fine. Again, all the tier lists I make are my personal opinions. But I just really don't have an attachment to the fighting type. Moving on. Fire. The first starter type we're going to do. Well, kind of electric is kind of starter type. Fire type is really close to me. Is it weak to water and ground? Yes. Can it manage to beat grass, ice, and steel? Definitely. One trouble I'm getting very tired of, that they did manage to get rid of, thankfully, in Gen 7, was them having a fighting type starters. Blaziken, pretty cool. Infernape, amazing. Emboar, it just kept it was very repetitive and really getting boring, not only to me, but to a lot of other fans. Plus, there's so many other good combos. Fire Fairy, something Game Freak really needs to add. Fire Flying, pretty good. And some others as well that I know a lot of fans want. But the reason I'm bumping up to S tier is because of my Cinderace. He was my first starter Pokemon and the first general actual Pokemon ever. So obviously, I'm a bit biased and really attached to him and the fire type as a whole. I think it's a cool type and overall pretty good. Has weaknesses, of course, but isn't as bad as some of the other types on this list. Oh, also, I forgot to mention, bug types can't do much of anything to it because fire burns bugs, of course, and ice types too. Moving along. Flying to me, it's good, but it also has weaknesses like ice and rock and electric, which, yes, they make sense. But flying type Pokemon generally tend to be a staple in most people's teams. Well, not mine, obviously. I don't have a flying type on my main team because I generally have no need for one. But though they can help with certain types, there are other types that also manage to beat those types and some that do it better. Back in the day when those dreaded HMs existed, fly was necessary. You needed a flyer on your team. But these days, since they've replaced THs with secret techniques, ride Pokemon, and other things are a lot cooler and a lot less stressful to use. You don't need a flying type on your team. Of course, you can still have one if you want one, but they're not necessary. They really aren't. But they're not bad, necessarily, either. Moving along. Oh boy. Ghost. Ghost, to me, is it's not the worst type in the world. There are a lot of good ghost types out there. But being beaten by Dark, by Fairy, two types that are generally very good. Even being beaten by... I forgot. It does beat psychic types, which is nice, I guess, but though, as I said, there are many great ghost types out there. Some like classics and non-classics. Gengar, the original ghost. Dragapult, a ghost and dragon type. Amazing. Though still heavily thwarted by fairies. And many other ghost types who I'm not remembering at the moment. Though I do find it to be a type. Moving on to grass. Grass is one of the weakest types in the game. Flying, fire, ice, all beat grass. Yes, it can beat water and ground and Pretty sure rock as well. I'm only bumping up to B tier because of my Leafeon. Again, a member of my main team. She helped me out when I needed her. Of course, the grass isn't the strongest, but I don't think all grass types are horrible. Leafeon, of course, is amazing. Venusaur and other grass type starters, great. I feel bad for the secret line because I get a lot of hate, but yeah, grass only B tier because I my Leafeon and my attachment to them overall. Ground. I'm really not attached to the ground type much at all. Like, it's not the worst type. It's the only type that can do super effective damage to electric, which is good, I suppose. But being beaten by other better types, well, generally better, and it's just not really a type I'm attached to. A lot of ground types to me are pretty bland. Some make sense, others I'm like, and others I'm just like not interested whatsoever. It's just a type I'm not attached to. Moving on. We have ice followed by normal, poison. Ice normally would be way down at the bottom. But again, my attachment to a certain Pokemon, Glaceon. Wait, they're not the type I meant to grab. Well, since we're here, might as well rank you. Normal as a type only gets bumped up because of Eevee and other cute or good normal types. Beyond that, it's just, well, normal. Nothing really special about it. And fighting types and other better types can easily thwart it. Meanwhile, as I was trying to say, ice only bumped up to C because of Glaceon and other cool ice types like Alolan and Ninetales. But beyond that, it's pretty weak. Fighting, rock, fire, all beat it. And it's just, though it beats dragon, fairy types do as well, and fairy types aren't as vulnerable as ice types are. So yeah, it only gets bumped up because of one Pokemon, or a few Pokemon I like. Moving on to poison. Poison is a solid A. It's one of the only two types that can beat fairy alongside it and steel. Well, it can't beat it, so that's no. I didn't mean to word it that way. It can beat fairy, obviously. Though it's weak to psychic, it's still a pretty solid type. Not my favorite. There are a lot of poison types I'm really not attached to, but overall, it is a pretty good type. And speaking of psychic, I'd say it's an S tier. It has weaknesses, of course, but it is a type I really like. I have an Espeon on my main team, which is one of the main reasons I'm really attached to Psychic, plus my Mewtwo, who I found in the Crown Tundra. Reason something here because though I know Mewtwo is genderless, they get associated with certain genders. My Mewtwo, though not a member of the main team, has proven to be pretty useful. And there are other also very good psychic types that, well, a lot of them get recognized as being good. Gardevoir, a psychic and fairy. Pretty good. Plenty of others too. It used to be even stronger before the dark type was added, but it's still a very good type. How did Rocket have steel? I don't know. Still gotta do steel first. Steel, in my opinion, is also a solid A. Because, again, one of the only two types that can beat fairy. And there are some pretty cool steel types out there. I can't remember all of them off the top of my head, but yeah, steel is still pretty good. Yes, I know, bad joke, but though it can be beat by a few other types, it's not a bad type. A lot of steel types tend to be very bulky, though a lot of them are very slow. When they do hit, they hit hard. So, yeah, pretty solid type. Moving on to rock. Rock, I'm not really attached to. Several generations have it as the first gym type. Not all generations, of course, but some. And if you have a water or grass type, it's really not that difficult to beat a rock type. Especially since a lot of rock types are also ground types. So, yeah. Not one of the best types. Not attached to it very much. It does beat bug and pretty sure ground, which are finally enough to do in the D tier. But yeah, rock type, not horrible, but not my favorite. And water, solid A. Once again, because I'm attached to a certain water type, Vaporeon, of course. But also because it's just generally a very good type. It can be several types that needed it, like ground, rock, fire, everything you'd expect. And a lot of water types can also learn types of moves of other types, like all of these other types can. And if you give water type a nice move, grass types become slightly easier to deal with. Now, before I end this video, I just want to talk about the fact that I want learn two specific types that I think deserve an evolution, that don't already have them. Poison and a ghost. Poison because, well, when you did an evolution that can handle a Sylveon, if Sylveon gets out of control, and I created my own design for one. And Ghost because, when Espeon and Umbreon came out, well, there's nothing that could beat Espeon without being beaten by Umbreon. I think they need a third member of the trio, and again, I created my own design for one. And though I don't have images to show you, I think Ghost and Poison are two types that are fitting candidates for an evolution. Because Game Freak needs to give us more evolutions. Like, they really do. We got 10 types that don't have them, and a few that I think deserve them. So, yeah. This is my evolutions tier list. Pretty much all the tiers are tied, except for Dig, which has bug and ground, which are the two types I absolutely do not like. Of course, the S tiers, the ones I love and are attached to. A tier, ones I really like, and the few one I'm really attached to. B, okay types, just meh types. C, types I don't really like, or types that are just generally bland or weak. And D, types I hate, or just generally do not like. If you guys like this video and have your own opinion on the subject of ranking the types, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.